and welcome to another episode of DABCC TV. I'm really excited today. We have not done a TV episode in quite some time, which is shame on me. But I had a really great reason to do one, and I was really excited about this one. We have Devolutions on the line, and they're the maker of Remote Desktop Manager and a couple other products. And this thing is just an amazing solution, and with a lot of community support and love. So I wanted to show you guys their latest version 10, which just came out. And recently they released it. And so today I have on a couple of their folks, Maurice and Max, who are going to talk a bit about Devolutions, what they're doing on Remote Desktop Manager, and then show it off to us. So in these TV episodes and the video episodes, the goal really is to show it to you. And I sort of shut up. I'll have a couple questions. I can't shut up forever. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and show it to us today.
Yep, really excited for us to be here with you, Doug, today. Really excited to show you the new Remote Desktop Manager version 10. I'm Max, by the way. I'm the Director of Marketing at Devolutions. I'm here with Maurice. I don't know if Maurice, you can hear us. Maurice, you there?
Hi. Yeah, I'm Maurice. I'm the business architect. I'm in charge, in fact, of support, documentation, demo, and all support towards our corporate customers to better use our product, in fact.
So yeah, so we have we're Devolutions. We're located in Montreal, Canada. So we're in two separate offices right now. Maurice is in Montreal, and I'm in our headquarters is about 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from downtown Montreal. So we're a little city near Montreal. So Devolution, yes, we launched Remote Desktop Manager in 2010. So it's been about 4 years now, a little bit more than 4 years now that we launched Remote Desktop Manager. We're about 25 employees right now, a little bit less, I think 23 or 24 employees. We have a Mac team now. We have iOS team, Android team. We have a Windows team. So a really good development team in place to be able to work cross-platform, and we just partner with the guys at Awake Coding. I don't know if you guys know Awake Coding. They're a creator of their project called open source project called FreeRDP. So these guys also joined us a few weeks ago to work on the integration of FreeRDP within Remote Desktop Manager and work on their project as well. So we're really excited, really exciting to be here. Last year have been really good for us, and we hope that 2015 will be even better. So today, really happy to be here to show you guys Remote Desktop Manager 10. If you don't know what is Remote Desktop Manager, I just wanted to come up with a slide to show you a little bit why you would need a product like ours. So what we do with Remote Desktop Manager is we try to get all your remote connections. We integrate more than 160 technologies within Remote Desktop Manager. So what we want to achieve and what we want to do is gather all your remote connections all in the same platform that you can share throughout your entire team. It comes along with all the passwords, the credentials, user management. So you can instantly connect to all your servers, virtual machines, infrastructure using multiple connections. We can have one of the most popular one that we have integrated in Remote Desktop Manager as Microsoft RDP, of course. So RDP, SSH, we have Telnet, tools like LogMeIn, TeamViewer, ICA, HDX, and we have a whole bunch of VPNs you can use within Remote Desktop Manager. So you can gather all these connections all in one place that Maurice is going to show you in a few minutes. Along with the remote connections, you need, of course, all the passwords. So we also centralize all the passwords that you work with on a daily basis. If you already have a password manager you're using, like KeePass, Secret Server, you can have Password State, 1Password, LastPass. All these password managers, we can integrate them within Remote Desktop Manager. And we also have our own password manager solution that's called Password Vault Manager that is fully integrated within Remote Desktop Manager in order to store and securely save all your passwords. One of the biggest advantage that we have, that you have actually working with Remote Desktop Manager is it's a true thing solution. It's backed by a centralized data source. It can be, I would say about 80% of our users are using SQL Server. It could be also AWS. We're working with Azure right now. We have a whole bunch of different data sources that you can use to store all your data, all your remote connections, credentials, passwords. And Maurice is going to show you in a couple of minutes how it works and how you can store all those passwords within Remote Desktop Manager. So once you've centralized all the information in the database, you can connect using Remote Desktop Manager. And the best part is that you can share all these entries within your own team, within your entire team throughout with your coworkers. So you don't have to share manually this information each and every time you want to log in into a customer's infrastructure, for example. Another good thing about Remote Desktop Manager is all the document and information that you can attach to a connection. So let's say you want to, you have some sort of document you need to follow for maintenance on a server, for example. You can attach it to a connection, and the user will be able to, once you click on the connection, he'll be able to see the document at the bottom of Remote Desktop Manager, so he knows the different steps he needs to do on this particular server, for example. Security, of course, it's a big for us, it's really important to have strong security. So always work with, of course, encrypted connection, encrypted database, strong passwords. We work with the AES 256 bits encryption, so really important. And you can also integrate all the tools you guys use every day for your day-to-day tasks. We integrate also in Remote Desktop Manager. One of the best things we have, and Maurice is going to show you RDP Agent in a few minutes, but you can integrate and execute script files, macro, such as PowerShell, of course, within Remote Desktop Manager. That's a really big advantage for you guys. And as Doug mentioned earlier, we just released RDM 10, Remote Desktop Manager 10, a few weeks ago. That's the version we're going to show you guys today. A couple of new functionality within Remote Desktop Manager 10. I would say the new user interface might be like the biggest, the major improvement this year in Remote Desktop Manager. We also have enhanced Active Directory functionality, advanced search box, batch script execution, and we just introduced Remote Desktop Manager Agent and Remote Desktop Manager Jump. Maurice is going to show you in a few minutes exactly what you can do with both of these products. So I don't know if Doug, you have some questions for me before we move along with the live demo with Maurice.
I do have a few questions, if you don't mind. First of all, I did see the RDP or the free RDP stuff. I read your blog. I love the comic. In fact, we talked about that prior. But if you guys out there watching aren't familiar, these guys make it's a weekly, right? Is it? Do you guys do that weekly?
Yep. It's a weekly.
Go ahead, explain it.
Well, it's kind of it's kind of a tech comic that we wanted to that we write and created here at Devolutions with one of our friends. He's a cartoon artist, so we came up with the idea of creating some sort of comic for the tech and IT industry. It's a weekly comic, so we try to publish one on our blog every week. The response has been amazing from our community, and we have a lot of tweets, and people are talking about it. So yeah, it's really cool for us. And I know you're one of our an avid reader of Sys and Minotaur.
I love it. I look forward to the thing. It's funny. I love. I miss the old Far Side and the old. Doonesbury? Was that the one that was techie? I forget. Well, I miss having a newspaper, actually reading the newspaper. Guess I could get one. But, yeah, I love stuff. So definitely, guys, subscribe to their blog, their RSS feed, or follow them on Twitter, and you'll get that and a bunch of other great stuff too. And then today you're probably going to show us the Windows version, but you have other versions. So can you talk real quick about the different clients, the different platforms you support?
Yep. Today we're going to show you the Windows version. Maybe Maurice, if we have time, Maurice will show you the Mac version as well. So right now, these are the two platforms that we support. Currently, we're working on the Android version, and at the beginning of next year, in a month or so, we'll be starting the iOS version. So we want to bring Remote Desktop Manager to mobile, either on Android or iOS. So that's a bit of the roadmap for the first couple months in 2015. So yes, we should be releasing an Android version at the beginning of next year, and soon after the iOS version.
Very cool. It's interesting to hear that you're doing the Android version first. I do see the Android market picking up, but darn it, I have an iOS. So
yeah. Well, I think
go ahead.
We came up with. I did a survey, a poll on Spiceworks. I don't know if you are familiar with the Spiceworks.
Yeah. You bet I am.
So what I did is I asked the people on Spiceworks, hey guys, we want to bring Remote Desktop Manager to mobile environments. And I just asked them, you want to go? Should we go first with Android or iOS? And I would say about 70% of the answers I got was for Android. So we decided, just because it's easier also to work with, people love the freedom you get with the Android version. So we decided to go with that version first. But don't worry, the iOS version will come soon after.
Yeah, it's interesting. 3-4 years ago, you walk around a conference and you see iPhones everywhere. And I've been paying actually very close attention to this, where I go to Synergy or any conference I'm at, and I pay attention to what phones they have. And it switched over the past couple of years to Android. What you saw were the business guys had iPhones, and the techies, the engineers, had Android phones. Now I think that's starting to change in the past year, especially with the release of iOS or iPhone 6. Is that you're starting to see techies realize that Android isn't all that in a bag of chips, and slowly switching back to good old iOS. So I'm a big fan of the iOS stuff. So.
Well, happy to hear that. I think we'll have a good timing with the iOS version then.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Okay, so let's get enough talking. Let's get to it. Let's see this thing. So we ready to turn this over to Maurice?
Okay, so this is Remote Desktop Manager version 10. It's quite a different interface than for those of you that had seen the product previously, because now we're going towards a touch interface. We spoke about the mobiles, but tablets are being used more and more, and those large buttons are quite helpful when you do use a touch interface. So
that's so awesome to hear. I was just in Amsterdam. I was just in Schiphol, in Amsterdam at the airport, and I had a server problem. And I tell you, trying to get through the desktop client I was using was a pain in the butt. So that's wonderful. Once you get my iPhone version.
Yes. Yeah, it's next.
I had to throw that in, didn't I?
So Remote Desktop Manager is a tool to help you manage all of these remoting technologies. We support 160 odd technologies, but most of our user base is simply using our product to launch sessions. And obviously, the ones that are really popular are RDP. We have SSH. So right now, I'm showing you sessions that are running in the embedded display mode. This is quite helpful because instead of running around your taskbar, try to locate a running session for a specific host, they're all self-contained. So focus is always following the selection that you do either in our tree view or in the running tab. So they're quite helpful in that manner. I have added color codes, I have added filter categories. So it's really helpful if you want to work on multiple servers at the same time. And as you noticed, I didn't have to provide credentials. They were linked to the sessions by obviously the administrator of the system, and therefore using our security system, you do not even need to know the passwords in order to connect to these devices. So if you have consultants or really critical information that you do not want to share, well, you simply grant the minimum required access level for your staff, and they never know a password other than their own. So it's a really secure environment, and it's really helpful for organizations that require some level of security. We have a ton, as I said, of technologies that we support. Just in remoting, we support these ones, all the most popular ones. We have VPNs. They're often required in order to connect to remote host. We have these 5, and we have 4 by default in the product, but using our extension system, you can add support for more than 20. So we support the most popular ones. We have macros and scripting tools that you can use to run commands on multiple hosts at once. And we have utilities, like if I launch another SSH host and I do a multi-select, I have a tool here to execute a script. So it can be commands that follow our macro system, or they can be scripts. So it's really nice in order to run commands on all your running hosts at the same time. Let's say I'm going to type just a simple command, and it is sent to all of these hosts. So you can imagine the power that it gives you. So this was SSH sessions. If you look at RDP sessions, we have something that we actually give with Remote Desktop Manager, which is called the Remote Desktop Manager Agent. It's something that runs on a remote host, and it sits there listening and waiting for your input. So, oh, it's not running on that one. Sorry about that. I'll launch my other server. Okay, so you see the agent, that's the icon for the agent. So for all the servers that you need to run tasks in the same fashion, you would be able to execute a script via the agent. So you see it's almost the same options, but we also support the PowerShell command. So it's a great time saver. You simply install an agent and you can manage these hosts remotely quite easily, in fact. So
that's very impressive.
Yes, let's do something really simple now. Let's start Notepad. Just to prove to you that the command is sent through that agent. This is in fact using an RDP remoting channel. So it is encrypted. It is all built in, all your workstations that are RDP enabled, and so it's completely safe, and it's fully automated for you. It does the file transfer. It does run the command remotely. So it's really helpful, and you can install software. You can do a lot of things really easily. But the agent is the basis of a new product that we published recently. It's called the Remote Desktop Manager Jump. That is helpful for these environments that are really protected. Let's say that you have an environment, you have a few servers behind a firewall, and most typically you would not expose all of your workstations to the internet. You would open the firewall towards a single host, and then you would connect to that box. We usually call this a jump box, and then from that server you would connect to the other servers behind your firewall. So it's better security. You have a full control over which IP source addresses can connect to it. So, and you have full logging. So it's really a great way to secure an environment. So
very nice.
This uses our agent. So if I would just I'm going to disconnect everything, and that server is tagged as being a jump server. And this RDP session here is set up to use that server as a jump host. So I simply have to click on that client session. You notice that it starts indeed a session to my jump box, that RDMS server, and then it connects automatically within that other RDP, that other RDM copy. You notice it does not require a database. It does not have anything special running on it, but you are seeing my remote session running within that jump box session. So it's really helpful. It's completely secure. Again, it's using the remoting channel to send the commands. And the nice thing is that we're really big on logging and the security of our system. But so when you do launch that session and you see that the logs are brought back to your centralized system, so you can see who has connected to any device in your environment.
I like that. That's very nice. I mean, I use a junk server all the time, and so that makes a lot of that adds a lot of power. That's nice.
Yeah, obviously, in the short time we have, we won't show you all of the features we have. We have a ton more. We have playlists if you need to start sessions to multiple hosts sequentially, or we have to-do lists. We have really advanced settings for security, encryption. We use two-factor authentication for the application itself, and we support Google Authenticator and YubiKey. So you can have as much security as you require, or as less as you're comfortable with. So it's really, you adjust the system to your preferences.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, this thing is feature-rich. I mean, we can go on for hours and hours. Is there anything else you want to show us?
Well, not at this time. I think that we would follow. We can add documents. You can share any type of document, but really the strength of it is in our security. Let's say that I will switch context and log in using credentials of let's say, level 2 technician. You will notice that you will not even see that Downhill Pro customer. So I'm logging in using his credentials, and you see that he does not even see that Downhill Pro customer exists. And using our security system, I have granted him certain permissions and privileges. If I go, let's say, in that RDP entry, you will see that he cannot obtain the credentials. The credentials, in this case, are stored here, so he does not know the credential being used, even though he has the edit permission. If I rather go in another folder, in this one, in the internal structure, he does not have the edit permission. You see, he's being told that he does not have the permission, but still he can connect to the session. So that's only with the view permission allows you the right to launch a session, and without knowing the credentials. So you're completely safe. Your credentials are completely safe within our system.
Yeah, and you guys fully support Active Directory also now.
Yes, there are 2 levels of support for Active Directory. Obviously, if you use Microsoft SQL Server, it ties in with Windows itself. So it's called integrated security. So you log in our system using your domain credentials. If you do require a more tightly knit interface with your AD structure, we have a product called Remote Desktop Manager Server, which is in fact, which acts as a data source for the desktop application. So it's another product. It will become an add-on to the desktop application. And when that is installed in your infrastructure, it integrates with your AD structure, and you can adjust what we call roles, in fact. So you grant permissions to what we call roles, which are in fact links to your AD structure. So whenever a user logs in, we look at what groups he belongs to in your AD structure, and we grant him the permissions that you've assigned to that role. So no need for you to log in our user management screen to assign permissions. They will all be assigned automatically depending on his membership in your AD structure. So we have 2 levels of support.
Very cool, very cool. You had mentioned the file sharing piece. That actually intrigues me because I do copy files up to servers and desktops quite often. Can you show us that and talk a bit about how that works?
Well, we have, again, a lot of options that are offered to you because in our smaller customers, they will simply link to directly to a file. So that would be obviously on a network share or something that is available to everyone in your infrastructure. We can also link to a URL. So this is helpful if you do use a document management system. Many of us have SharePoint. There are other, but so if you have a URL to a document, you can store a reference to it in our system. So you can imagine a technician coming in day one, and you just show him how to use Remote Desktop Manager, and all of the information that he requires to do his work is self-contained in our system. And the last option would be to store the document in the database. So that's the most flexible option because it's stored within our system, and everybody that connects to your system will have access to download that file and have a look at it. So that's our last option.
Very cool, very cool. Now here's a question I ask all the time is, you're coming here with a fully laid out product, right? You've installed it, configured it, you had all this data to it. What does it take to get to this point? What does it take to set it up and configure it to where it's, useful?
Okay, well, I can definitely do that. Let's start from scratch instead. So you see I do have an unlimited number of what we call data sources. They're links to databases, in fact, and we support SQL Server, Azure, MariaDB, MySQL. So let's create another SQL Server because that's what I have available to me at this time. So I simply, that's the server name. Okay, so demo data source. I'm using SQL Server. We could be on Azure, but I'm going to use a local server to that environment. I can use integrated security, but for this case, I'll use the SA account just for the creation, and then I will create a database. So let's test my credentials. Let's test the database. It detects that the database does not exist, so we will create it for sure. So it's applying all of our scripts to set up the database properly. So we have 100 or so scripts to run, so it takes a few seconds. It should be done about now. There you go. And you have a few choices to make. Obviously, one of our really nice features is to use the offline mode. So this, in fact, will create a SQLite database on your workstation, meaning that even if you're disconnected from your network, you're a mobile worker, you're in an environment that has limited connectivity, it will use that SQLite database. So it's really helpful, and we even have a read-write mode, which would allow you to perform changes. So I'll keep that. I'll keep all of the other settings using the default values. So let's switch to that. So I'm going to select my data source. Okay, so my demo data source. And obviously, it is empty and nothing is in there. Typically, many of our customers are managed services provider, where they will be managing customers on top of their own infrastructure. So customers, let's say, and let's recreate my internal folder for my internal information, let's say. Let's create that. Okay, my right-click menu was not collaborating, so let's create an internal structure. Okay, so I have my two root level folders. It's a best practice of ours to always have a few root level folders and then to create, let's say, security groups. So I will create security groups. Keep those default permissions, and then my internal group. Okay, so I have a security in place. I do not have other users as of now, but you can imagine that, sorry about that, that we will create users as we go along. Both security groups that I require are created, so I'll go back and assign the security group to these folders. So it's a best practice of ours to always have a security in place for each of these root level folders. So because public folders, as unsecured folders are public, meaning that anybody that has access can edit, delete them. So it's better to always have security in place. Let's even show you with the security column in place. I'm going to close these tabs. Okay, so folders are created. Most typically, let's create that first customer. I'm going to even use the proper icon. So he's called Windjammer, let's say. And that first customer is created. If you needed security per customer, you would assign and create and assign a security group for that folder specifically. So another of one of our best practices is to create credentials, credential entries that can be reused across multiple hosts. So obviously this requires that your company allows that, so you can use credentials across multiple hosts. Most of our users can do that. David, my domain, and my password. Obviously, we have a password generator. We have that password evaluation label, but you can decide to use whatever options you have, but this is what I've selected right now. So I have, for that customer, I have a credential entry, and then let's create an RDP entry. So let's connect on Windjammer 10, let's say. And I'm going to use, for this one, a direct link to those credentials. Notice that the bottom part is almost the same as the MSTSC client. So we tend to keep it alike as much as possible because it's easier for you to get oriented. But you have full control over all of these settings. In fact, this is using my default settings for this RDP entry. You could modify that so all of your new sessions use these settings. You can also, after the fact, do a multi-select and then use our batch edit mode to fix many sessions at once. But that being said, I created a credential entry, I created an RDP entry, and it allows me just to connect using a double-click action on that session that I've just created. So it's as easy as that.
That is very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's easy. Okay, I have one more question for you, or one more thing I would like to see, and that is the Mac version. Can you show that real quick?
Oh, for sure. I'm actually on a Mac, so I'll just restore this, the visibility. I'll minimize this, and I'll bring on the screen my Mac edition. So obviously it's not as advanced as our Windows version. It's a version 1 product, so it still has a lot of work in order to reach the set of features that we have in the Windows version. Oh, okay. Let me select another data source. So you see we have RDP, we have VNC, we have these credentials, we have TeamViewer, we have SSH. So it supports less protocols, but it can connect to the same data sources. So this is quite nice. So a single centralized data source will allow you to use both clients. And in fact, our license is good for all of our editions. So the Windows version, the Mac version, the Android edition, and the iOS when it comes out, they're all covered under our single license that we grant you.
Very cool. I like it. I am a Mac user. So we're becoming more and more popular. So, we're starting to get some good apps, and I love what you guys are doing. Maurice, Max, thank you so much. We like to keep these things about 30 minutes, and I think we went over a little bit today, but and we could spend hours on this, couldn't we? Yeah, it's a very impressive solution. If somebody wants to learn more, what do they need to do?
They can go to remotedesktopmanager.com, or they can send an email to sales@devolutions.net. And I'll make sure I answer every questions. We have a 30-day free trial on our website. We also have a free version of Remote Desktop Manager on remotedesktopmanager.com for standalone users. So absolutely free for standalone users who don't need the centralized database, for example. So that's another option that we give to our users. So yep, if you guys want more information, just visit our website or send me a quick email.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to show this to us today. I really enjoyed it. Very impressive. I love version 10. A lot of neat new stuff and just impressive all the way around. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for your time.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please definitely download the free version. It's free for you to use for personal use, and definitely check that out. And I think you guys you'll fall in love with it. It's a great solution. So on that note, call this a show. So thanks, everybody.